Hey everyone, welcome to Rainbow Soulstrology. I'm Brighthawk, and together with Hollis Taylor, we bring you weekly astrology that's accessible, inclusive, and totally down to earth. Hollis is a seasoned astrologer and psychic medium. I'm a musician, artist, and storyteller who loves making the cosmos relatable. We're both passionate teachers who love answering your questions and helping you navigate life through the stars. Each week we start with a guided meditation to tune in to the planetary energies. Then we dive into the week's cosmic forecast, offer horoscopes for every sign, and always make time for your live questions. Whether you're brand new to astrology or you've been following the stars for years, we create a welcoming space where everyone belongs. Our different perspectives and styles come together to give you a well-rounded cosmic experience. Welcome to Rainbow Soulstrology. Let's get centered, tune in, and explore what the universe has in store for us this week.
Hello, hey everyone, welcome to Rainbow Soul. It's Hollis and Brighthawk here. We're excited to bring this week's astrology in for you. We hope you're all hanging in there with these all this Aquarius energy. We the people, right? It's definitely happening. This is our preview of our Aquarius time. So we'll talk more about that. And I know this week has been full mostly of Aquarius energy. So whatever's been going on for you, that probably speaks to where Aquarius is in your chart. So, and if it's been a fairly quiet week for you, it's probably just that maybe Aquarius is an empty chart for you or empty house for you. Um, and it could mean that you also don't have a whole lot in Leo, which is its opposite. So for right now, let's do a meditation with Bright Hawk and the hand pan. I invite you to take a nice deep breath. Feeling the energy of the moment. Just roll off of you. With meditation, in this meditation, just allow yourself to relax, to be present, to be in the moment. And imagine yourself to be staring at the sky, with a beautiful sky, night sky in front of you. With a gorgeous full moon. And with the full moon, the full moon in Leo. Leo, the lion. The lion's head comes right out of the center of the moon. Prideful and gentle. strong and graceful. Creating an attractive moon that you cannot resist. That moment of enjoyment. That moment of being under the moon. Of feeling that strong Leo energy, prideful, stable, and that Leo part helps you feel special and seen. Seeing that star in front of you. You can feel that beautiful full moon fill you up with pride and joy. And you can feel your heart fill with integrity and strength. Knowing that this moment you are present in your body and present with the beautiful full moon and walking in prideful integrity throughout your life. And as you come back into your body, you take this moment to get present in yourself, to wiggle your toes, open your eyes, and come back to the here and now. Well done, Red Hawk.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Red Hawk, for that beautiful music. And I'm glad that we could take that moment to meditate on a beautiful full moon with a level of pride and integrity, which is exactly what Leo is all about. And can sometimes be a little bit on the arrogant side, but mostly because with Leo, not Mars in Leo, but just Leo energy, is usually because it's well deserved. There's something that the Leo has done to earn that. They usually are friendly or a shining star of some sort. Bright Hawk is a Leo moon. I have Venus in Leo, so it's not it's arrogance. I would say that usually more comes out with Mars in Leo. Um, Sometimes, or if the person is just are like mentally ill or whatever, then maybe it might come out that way. So, but they do have a reputation for that. But I think there's like, um, with astrology, there's silly reputations about things for just about every sign. So don't always listen to that. Just wanted to say that. And this week's astrology, frankly, let me just start by saying I want to invite you this week to take a deep breath, to take this week, to take some extra time to rest, to center, to ground, to get centered in yourself and just allow for everything to just settle down. And I think this is a good idea because now we do have Neptune entering Aries tomorrow, which today is Sunday. So on Monday, Neptune is entering Aries. Um, and Uranus will go direct on the 3rd. But this week, I don't think that we'll necessarily feel Neptune right away. You might if you're a Pisces or you have anything at that section in that section, but Neptune in Aries, um we'll talk more about that, but that's really like that will be happening this week, but that will kind of resonate in the next couple of weeks, in the next couple of months, I'd say the next month, because it will be on a world point, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But you can see here, these are the rest of the dates, and we have a very busy February, a very busy February in a way that I'm kind of like, take your deep breath this week. I mean, Neptune's moving into Aries. Yes, that could add a little bit of high energy. So let's just talk about that a little bit because that will be coming up at the beginning of the week with Neptune into Aries. And it is technically on a world point. Now let's talk about big planets, okay? So the thing about big planets like Neptune, Saturn, Uranus, even Jupiter, you don't always feel immediately the day that they jump over. Now you will with Mars and Venus and Mercury and the moon, but and maybe with the sun even, but with bigger planets that are further out, they kind of just like change the channel. They just kind of you might sense it a little bit if you have something at 29 degrees Pisces or 0 degrees Aries. You might feel it more. Um, but otherwise, you probably wouldn't because it's just a really, especially with Neptune, it will mostly just be a shift in energy that you've probably already sensed is kind of happening. And you will slowly sort of make our process into that energy of Neptune and Aries. Now, with Neptune and Aries on the world point, that could have some meaning in the next few weeks, especially when Saturn joins it. Um, Neptune in Aries is very much about visioning what we're willing to fight for, what we're willing to, and even seeing amazing leaders step up, visionaries. There could even be a vision of where we want to go from here, how we want the world to be. And, also with uh, Neptune on the world stage, it could have a little bit to do with like delusions being revealed because now Neptune is in Aries and Saturn is in um, Pisces. And so we've been talking about the great reveal for, I don't know, a long time. I don't even remember how long ago it was when this all first began, when Saturn and Neptune first started traveling together. It's been like a year, maybe not quite a year yet, like 6 or 7 months, I think. Um, and as every time Neptune or Saturn steps into a different sign, something is revealed. So there could be a great reveal for us on Monday. So, and that reveal could be pretty darn important. Um, and I think that that's the part that, you know, that we need to be hyper aware of, that the channels is about to change. And that's the world channel. That's not just in our homes, in our daily lives. What are we willing to fight for? What are we willing to, what's important to us, and things like that. But also, um, what, uh, what, what is on the world stage? What are we willing to fight for? Right. So, Bright Hawk, you've been, I know that the politics and stuff. Have you thought about that? Any how that might affect our world is going on a world point.
Right. Well, the world point, as you know, so a couple of little definition things, because I know astrology, as you're starting to learn it, can sometimes feel like you're in another language. And it's true, you are. It's why it takes us years to get it all straight. So, what is this thing called a world point? Well, world points are uh, zero signs that begin the seasons, right? These are our signs that we call cardinal signs. So Aries begins the astrological year, right? It begins spring. Then, of course, summer begins with Cancer, zero Cancer. Then the fall begins with zero Libra, and the winter begins with zero Capricorn. These are world points. And when we say world points, we're not talking about personal points, we're talking about world attention, you know? So there's a focus and an energy that comes with a world point, world events. And I think we can all agree that there are things happening in the world right now that has everyone talking about everything all at once. What will be tolerated, what won't be tolerated. There's a lot of conversations going on like that right now, whether we're talking about Ukraine, Israel, freaking idiot fuck orange head, and we're talking about Greenland, or how many people he can offend in one speech, whether we're talking about his policies and the results of those policies. People are getting very, very intense about what is right, what is wrong, what is inhumane, what is humane, what is, and where do you stand? And so this change from Neptune, which is all about dreams and illusions and fantasy. And when I think of Neptune in Pisces, I always think about how clearly do you see underwater? Not very clearly. So there's sort of a sense of like, and then, you throw in these aspects where it's been sextiling Uranus for the last month. And in this case, because we're talking big outer planets, yes, it's a a nice aspect. A sextile is easier to deal with than a square, but what it really points to is intensity, intensity, intensity. And so that's why everyone is like, what's gonna happen? And us right along with it, right? And part of what I think everyone is finding is that there is a pressure building, and the question is there a way to work with that in a good way, in a creative way? You know, bless the people who are on the front lines, being incredibly noble in Minneapolis and in Chicago and in Portland and in Maine, and blessings to all those people who are trying to protect their neighbors. And we're called Rainbow Soul for a reason. I'm a very big believer in none of us are free until all of us are free. There's a level of energetic understanding that you're either you get it or you don't. That so many things right now are you get it or you don't. Do you understand? Are you on board? So there's these hard definitions that are starting to happen. We're moving out of water into a fire sign, a fire cardinal sign. So the energy couldn't be more different. Could not be more different. And when Saturn joins that party, we're talking about even more intensity. Now, the thing I notice on Monday's chart that I notice goes almost through the week is that we have another thing that we talk about in astrology called an inconjunct, or sometimes it's called a quincunx. What the heck is that? It's an aspect that's 150 degrees. So we know an opposition is 180 degrees, right? It's opposite the circle. 150 is it's off by it's just off to the next house, right? And what that means in astrology is that we call it fated energy. You don't stand a chance it's like trying to swim up a waterfall, okay? This is energy that sort of demands that you go that way. You do that thing. You go whatever it is that feels like you're being called, you're being compelled. I don't know why, but I'm supposed to do this thing. You really want to honor that voice inside of you that says, I am supposed to do this. Man, I can't ditch my way out of this. I got to do it. That's inconjunct energy. It's fated. You are destined to do these things. So what is that conversation? We have the South Node in Virgo. Okay, South Node in Virgo. Virgo is one of the 3 signs that's about justice. We think of Libra as the sign that's the most obvious, right? Because Libra, the symbol for Libra is the symbol of Lady Justice and blind justice, right? Where it's about justice, what's right, what's wrong. The other 2 signs that get involved in justice, Virgo has a strong desire to see things done correctly, rightly, if you will. And the other one is Sagittarius, which has philosophy. And Sagittarius, again, we're talking fire. So in this case, we have the South Node, an earth sign in earthy Virgo, which is mutable, by the way. And it's in a conversation, and it's going to hit all of those Aquarian things. So right now, that South Node is talking to Venus. So the past is talking to our relationship sector. Okay, the Venus represents relationships. South Node represents our past relations, our past lives. South Node talking to Venus, talking to Mercury. Mercury in Aquarius is exalted. Mercury in Aquarius is very, very strong. So, and of course, Mercury rules communication and computers and the internet and things like that. So this conversation with our past, and then of course, we also have a pretty close conjunction between Pluto and Mars, which is all about action and transformation. Whoa! We have a lot of energy in this chart. While on the one hand, it doesn't look like there's a whole lot going on the other hand, it's like, oh my. So all of us are really keen to sort of it's intense energy. Try not to go off in a explosive manner, which is almost never helpful. And try to keep your center. Try to remember what's helpful, what's not helpful. If you get caught in a feeling or a conversation that you don't want to be in, end it. Take a moment. Do something else. Go in a different direction. I have so many times had to turn off the TV and the news and all of it because as much as I want to know, it pains me to see what is happening right now. Pains me. So I'm sending tons of love to all the folks that need it. This is not easy times we're living in, my friends, but it's always good to remember at some level, we all signed up for this. We all agreed to be here together. We all agreed to be here now. And now is the time and now life is asking us for us to bring our best selves forward. So I think understanding the astrology is a really good way to go about it.
I agree that what's happening right now with that stellium in Aquarius, which is essentially, Venus, Mercury, the Sun, Pluto, and Mars, and each one of those planets has this week and next week will pretty much take a turn conjuncting each other, or conjuncting the Sun, or conjuncting Pluto. I think most of them have done it by Monday. The Sun has done its thing. I think that was when the man was murdered in Minneapolis, was when it was conjunct Pluto, I'm pretty sure. And the sun usually represents actually what I consider to be um, not hyper, what I would call the sacred masculine. So I actually have some pretty strong belief systems, and some people don't masculinize or feminize planets. But I tend to see the sun as the sacred masculine, and I see the moon as the sacred feminine. Okay. And the reason is maybe because of my background in witchcraft. But the sun holds space for all. And in my opinion, that is the sacred masculine. The sacred masculine, the high vibration of masculinity, would be the man that can hold space for all beings. The masculine, and it doesn't have to be a man at birth, it could be a masculine person, it could be a person that was born with female body parts but identifies more masculine, like myself. It has nothing to do with body parts. It has more to do with what energy they're holding. And that energy that they're holding um is the sacred masculine. And if we were to talk about sacred masculinity, then I would immediately put that with the sun. Okay. Just like I put sacred um divine androgen energy, which is the energy of both masculine and feminine together, in Mercury. You can hear more about my gender variance in my class on Nadia Shaw's in her university. I'll be teaching in February. But the sun in itself is that sacred masculine. Mars is a lower vibration of that, in my opinion. While it's masculine, it's a lower vibration. It's more of what we typically call in our culture toxic masculinity. It comes through fighting, it's conflict oriented, it's right? Okay. And sometimes, yes, it is just taking action, but it's usually assertive action. It's usually fast action. You haven't always thought it through. Anyone that lives with Mars on their ascendant knows that. They tend to just go, and then they're like, oh yeah, I guess I should have thought about that. And that's the Mars on the ascendant. Okay. That's like Mars can sometimes be just go. I know when my Mars is activated, because that's exactly what I do. Okay. But the sacred masculine is the one that holds space for all beings with no need for payment, with no need for exchange or even to notice it, or to even or to a no prejudice, no, oh, you're not, your skin is too brown or too light, or you're this or that or whatever. That's the sacred masculine. It doesn't matter who you are. All beings are welcome in the presence of the sun. And if you think about planet Earth, the sun plays that part all the time. Every time, it does not discriminate. The only thing that you can really use to shade from the sun is like a tree or a building, right? So, but the sun will beat down its rays and send its sacred energy, which all of us need, on a day to day. Without the sun, any of us would die. And so, we need the sun. And in my opinion, it is the sacred masculine. And so, in my humble opinion, when the sun is conjunct things like Pluto, Pluto is actually death and dying, control and power. It's usually pretty uncomfortable. And they're both in Aquarius. And now this man has died. And in some ways, I feel like he's become almost kind of a martyr in a way, not in a bad way, but in a way where we have said, no, this will not be tolerated. This man was he was not being aggressive. He was not doing anything wrong. And you shot him unnecessarily. And I think that that's important, that while it hurts and it is sad and terrible, I'm not dismissing that energy at all. I also want to recognize his life and how it is changing the story, how it is making it more important that we stop ICE, that we stop this administration from the insanity that is happening. And with the sun and Pluto, it spoke to directly that energy and the sacred masculine, because this man was a sacred man. He is a man, he is a nurturing man because he brings healing. And the sun, if you've ever been sick and then suddenly you're better enough to go outside and you stand under the sun, nothing feels better than that. Okay, like you're just like, oh, thank you, right? Okay. And that, yes, the sun is very capable of being a healer as much as it is capable of overdoing it. Okay. So the sun is capable of bringing healing to people, to all beings of earth, and is a necessary need. So I think the fact that the sun and Pluto were conjunct in Aquarius it was destined, unfortunately, for this man to have suffered, and it is supposed to piss you off. It's supposed to make the people angry. It's supposed to bring us together where we say, enough is enough. I am not putting up with this anymore. And that is vitally important to remember as we go into this week. So while it hurts, know that this hurt and this pain and this sadness and the things we are witnessing in our culture right now are a reflection of the universe. And I just want to say that before any of this happened, we were still separated. Human beings on earth have been slowly separating, I'd say, since I think even the 1980s, maybe the 1990s, and it has slowly gotten worse and more intense over the years. And now it's completely out of control, right? Like now we're like 50-50. There's like, you're either on this side or that side. And now it's most people are on this side, and some people are still lingering on their side. And I would just say that I think this is on purpose. I think these things, in some way, the universe is sort of driving to happen to push us together as a world. And that's what Aquarius is. Aquarius is we the people. And that's why Pluto in Aquarius feels like a scary thing, because it means that there could be martyrs. It means that something might have to die. It means that our government might need to crumble so that we can rebuild it. And a lot of us have come to the acceptance of that in the last year. A lot of us have kind of been like, okay, fine, this guy's going to destroy it. I'm going to rebuild it. Well, thank God, because someone else needs to rebuild it, not this guy. Okay. So, yeah, so I totally agree. And I also want to say that these transits also start to intensify for Donald Trump's health. Okay. So, just by the way, if you're looking at his, take a look at his chart if you know anything about astrology, and look at these transits coming up, the dates that I gave you, and just take a look at how things are going to unfold. I'm not sure he's as healthy as he presents. Okay. And I think that that could become apparent this week. With Neptune moving into Aries, it will remove illusions, it will remove the delusion that we've been suffering in our system for the last year and a half or whatever it's been. I guess it's been just under a year. So, just know deep, I guess it's been a whole year since Donald Trump's been president. And even before he was president, we've been in an illusion. And so, and the illusion has just gotten thicker and thicker. But then now, since the great reveal, things have slowly been coming up to the surface, such as the Epstein files. So, as frustrating as it is, and hard as it is, also recognize what's happening in the astrology. No doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. I am concerned about Mars and Pluto coming into conjunction, with Mars being the ruling planet of Aries, and that will be happening on Tuesday. So the two, Mars and Pluto, and as I've mentioned, Mars is kind of the lower vibration of the sun. It is about war. It is the ruling planet of Aries, and Neptune is there. And you can see there's not a whole lot else going on in the sky at that moment. And we just have the South Node um, in conjunct the sun, and the sun usually indicates like your flashlight, like where you're going, where you're headed, and it's in conjunct, so that means it's very hard to resolve. It's almost opposite but not opposite. Oppositions are next to impossible. You have to come to some sort of compromise. In conjunct is kind of in between an opposition and a square, and so it can be difficult to resolve. And with the south node in conjunct the sun, and then also technically, I guess, Mercury, which is its ruling planet of Virgo, and Mercury and Venus. I'm going to say that this has to do with conversations with other countries. If it is in your house, if it is in wherever it is in your chart, that's where it will also be speaking to, which is Aquarius. So it will depend on where that rules in your chart. Where does that land in your chart? Does it, is it the fourth house? Is it the third house? That's where it will speak to you personally. So you want to look and see, where does Aquarius rule in your chart personally? And that's, you could be having a tense conversation with someone, maybe about death, dying, power, or control.
What I don't, maybe concern is the wrong word. What I would call intention to about Tuesday's chart in the Pluto Mars conversation, that conjunction. Pluto is all about transformation, and Mars is about explosive energy, right? It's the god of war, right? So when you bring transformation and that kind of heat and energy with it, conjunct it, this is intensity. This is how transformation happens, right? Because transformation doesn't happen unless there's a certain amount of pressure that's building, where you get to the stage where you finally say, I can't take this anymore, I won't take this anymore. And that energy is what propels transformation. where we draw hard lines and we say, enough of this. You know that vibe that I'm talking about. And that's the moment where things really change because now you have momentum. There's been a decision made. We can't take this anymore. And there's energy that forces propulsion, right? There's this move it forward energy that will not be stopped. That's the nature of transform energy. It's not, I'm going to think about it. It's not, we should write a strongly worded letter. It's passionate. And that, and you can't, I don't want to put it that way. What I've learned in my life is that when real breakthroughs happen, that's the energy where there's enough heat, enough desire, enough vision about a different way of handling things, a different way of being in a situation, and a resolve of no more. This will not continue. And once that happens, look out. This is like, get out of the way. It's happening now. And it really does feel like the world is, especially when you look at places like Minneapolis right now, that there is you have gone too far. We are not taking this anymore. And the fact that it looks like this energy like comes to a head on Tuesday, look out. Just look out. Like, what's going to happen next? And the other thing about Tuesday's chart is now we have the moon conjuncting Uranus, which again, surprise a minute, super intense. And you have Uranus at the end of Taurus. It's going to pass over it. And then, of course, the moon in Taurus is a happy camper. It likes being in Taurus. So we have some intensity, we have opportunity for like things to really come to a head and surprising. And I just hope it's not more god awfulness and more murders and martyrs. I pray that we, the majority of people in the United States who have said ICE has gone way too far, this is not okay. That is, I believe, getting close to 60 or 70% of people. 70%. That's a huge number that says, no, you cannot do this. This is totally un-American. This is wrong. Everything you can think of. Tuesday's chart is not exactly, well, there doesn't look like there's a lot of lines if you read the chart closely, and I hope that, the fact that you're listening to this, congratulations on your interest in astrology. It's not an insignificant day. Let me just put that. Energetically, this is a really intense day.
But I do want to say that it's a good thing that we're coming together as we the people. And this is a preview, because that's North Node up in Pisces later this year will move into Aquarius, and which we detailed the date of that. Pretty sure it's over the summer. It's going to move into Aquarius, so this is a preview of that energy that's going to be happening this summer. So this is really going to speak to that, and this is your moment. This is your moment to go, is this really important, right? And Aquarius, you want to speak to Aquarius, you want to consider Aquarius, you want to know exactly what Aquarius is about, right? Okay. So Aquarius is generally an energy that's about we the people. It's forward thinking. It is ruled by Uranus, where the moon is on Tuesday. So it could be some stubborn energy, or some that kind of energy, some surprisingly stubborn energy, maybe on Tuesday. And then as we move on into the week, I think that inconjunct still continues, with the sun becoming more inconjunct, but the moon and Uranus is still in that sextile to Saturn. So I want to point that out. That is usually means like we're moving in the right direction. We're going where we need to go. And I think that is through we the people. I think that is through coming together. But in our personal lives, it could mean that you come together with with other people. It could mean that you come together with groups of people. It could mean that you join a community or become part of a community or get accepted into a community. There's a lot of parts of this that could be really beautiful. Okay. And at this point, Mars has moved off, which is good. Okay. Mars is exact. It's usually, you only kind of feel it when it's right on there. Okay. And at this point on Tuesday, it's moved along. And there could be some stuff that we're still letting go in regards to groups, into communities, into we the people. Maybe you are part of the protest. Maybe there's other stuff that needs to be let go of. There's other things that need to be realized other than ice. And, like there could be other parts that we have to work through so that we can get this we the people energy. Eventually, the North Node's going to be there, and that's going to change everything this summer. But for right now, this week, I think this is speaking to that energy. And with the moon with the full moon is the point that I seen that I was a little like, ooh, that could be slightly difficult. The moon will be full on Sunday, February the 1st, just before Uranus goes direct. The moon will be in Leo. Um, I was looking at that and I was wondering, I just happen to know that Donald Trump has Mars and Leo on the Aquarius on his ascendant. I don't know what the degree is. I'd have to look it up. But it's opposite that sun in Aquarius, which is we the people, and this very much could be a energy. Okay, this could be a separated energy where where two sides are separating. Not that we need more of that by any means, but Leo is very, very integrous. This is the moon, not necessarily. Now, Donald Trump has Mars there, which speaks to his arrogance, and his sort of toxic male behavior, and in the way that he kind of leads with that, and the way he usually leads with aggression, rather than anything else. I'm just looking it up. It's actually 26 degrees. Oh, interesting. The moon will be on his Pluto, in Leo, in the 12th house. So that means he's not going to see it coming, and it will be a full moon. Um, just looking at that, all kinds of things go through this death astrologer's head. Could he die? Yes. Could it mean that he has a health problem? Yes. Um, Especially with Leo rules the heart. So I want you to watch out for that, especially because he's clearly on aspirin or some sort of blood thinner. That's why his hands bruise so easily. So just like a firm handshake is enough to bruise his fingers, that's because he's on some sort of blood thinner, probably. And then we're pretty sure. I think Ann Ortley was the one that said she was pretty sure he had a stroke the last time. And I wouldn't be surprised if he had some sort of heart or stroke event, like a blood clot. Leo rules the heart, so it's very, very possible. And with Sun opposite in Aquarius, it could very well mean that he has a rough day. Um, Especially with the sun in Aquarius, and with people. I don't know how that's going to leave our country, even if he does get sick or whatever. I don't know exactly how that's going to go, except that I would say that we the people is still very important, even if he does. It will be interesting if he does have a health event. But yes, he could very well have a health event, even if he doesn't announce it, because we're pretty sure he didn't announce the first one. So, but for your personal life, this is going to speak to, it could speak to strong, explosive feelings. Oftentimes they don't last very long though. So just remember that when the moon's in Leo, like I always remind myself that it doesn't usually last long. It's just a few moments. And so we can just breathe through it because it will end really quickly. And the better we're able to just breathe through it, right, the better off. And with it opposite, the sun in Aquarius, this could speak to communities you're part of, communities you're in, communities that you're just any kind of community, and it will depend on where it is in your house, right? Okay, like what house it's in, where it is on your chart. So you want to take a look at that and where's Leo in your chart and how and how that will present in your world. I don't think it's that intense. We've had way more intense full moons. Um, I mean, it's a full moon. We have a full moon all the time. There's always full moons. And some of them, and they usually happen in every sign every year. I think, like, like eventually they're in this sign or that sign. And so, it's not like it's a rare event or anything like that. It's just a full moon in Leo. And the
What,
nice thing about a full moon is that it's brief. Is it happen to be void or anything, Bright Hawk?
no, the voids this week were pretty small. If you're new to that language, it's called a void of course. I didn't make up the name. That's the name. Void of course moons are the time that the moon changes signs. So there's these moments when the moon is shifting. And of course, the moon changes signs about every 2.5 days. So I wondered, with the full moon in Leo, the sun and the moon are what we call in mutual reception. The sun rules Leo, and the moon rules, oh no, it's not. Never mind. So okay. So when the full moon is in Leo, it's answering to the sun, which obviously it's a full moon. So I just wondered if there was extra intensity because of that, because of its, but not really. I guess, never mind. Talked myself around in a circle on that one. We know and earlier in the week when we were talking, when the moon is in Taurus, it's exalted. And so, we have some strong moons this week. We do not have a lot of void energy. So what does that mean? That means that the moon, which rules our inner emotions, our inner ocean, if you will, connects us with the divine feminine. It's that deeper feeling. The moon most of this week is fairly intense. I'm just going to say the voids are fairly small. When the voids are so small, like less than an hour, I don't even put them in the chart because it's so short you won't even notice it. When they are most of the day, like right now, Sunday, while we're recording, we're still at the end of a 18-hour void of course moon. We're in the last hour of it. So those I definitely call out, because sometimes when you're having a day where you're like, what is going on? I cannot seem to follow a thought or finish or whatever, where there's just a different feeling about the energy. That's why we talk about the void of course moon. And what we've learned is that the void times are great times to take a break, to do self-care, to honor the fact that there is less emotional energy. That's what a void means, that the moon has less energy. And this week, it's the opposite. The moon is building energy towards the full moon on Sunday. It's got these intense aspects, conjuncting Uranus, conjuncting Jupiter. All of these things just bring a lot of energy, emotional energy, because that's what the moon is. So I want to tell you a story. Okay, so, when the energies feel like they're building and they're really intense and there's no feeling of escape or a feeling of, oh my God, don't know how much more I can take. Here's a little story for you. Once upon a time, a long time ago, in a kingdom far away, there was a beloved kingdom, and it had a beloved ruler. And everybody in the kingdom was quite happy, actually, not like the US at all. And the uh, there was the ruler of the kingdom had a very special relationship with the artisans of the community and decided to give them a commission and told the told the artisans, I would like you to make me a piece of jewelry. And I would like that jewelry to remind me that when I'm super happy and I'm just ecstatic with joy, how to remember to be temperate, be humble. And if I'm really bummed out and depressed and just really down in the dumps, I want to be able to look at it and have it help me remember good times will happen again someday. And the artisans listened really intensely and wow, this is, And of course, they came together in a council and they had many, many, many discussions about what was the best way to fulfill the king's request. And no solution could be found. They could figure out one part of the equation, but they couldn't figure out the other. And every time they thought they were closed in on it, just it didn't fit. And one day there was a magi that came through the kingdom. And the magi performed and did wonderful things, and everybody was really, it was amazing. And the magi asked, are there any special requests before I leave? Because, of course, he was a traveler. And the council of artisans, James, come over here, sit with us. And they explained what the king had asked. They said, we're supposed to develop this piece of art or a piece of jewelry for the king that helps him remember when he's super happy, how to stay humble, and when he's really bummed out, that this too shall pass. Oh, the magi said, this too shall pass. And the magi looked at all the different types of jewelry that had been developed, and some of it was quite spectacular, but how was that going to help in these situations that had been described? And finally, the mage decided on a very simple flat bracelet and etched in, this too shall pass. And then when the king, at the end of the month, the commission was due, what had they come up with? And they sat with the king and they said, we think we figured out what you need. And they presented the special piece of jewelry with the simple inscription, this too shall pass. And the king said, this is perfect. This is perfect. So when I'm happy and ecstatic and delighted, I remember this too shall pass. And when I'm bummed and I'm frustrated and I'm ready to explode, I can remember this too shall pass. So if you're having a hard time this week, friends, remember, no moment lasts forever. This too shall pass. That helps.
Thank you.
You're on mute.
Thank you so much, Bright Hawk. Thank you for that beautiful story. I really appreciate it.
Do you have a card reading for our group?
I do indeed have a card reading. So I'm going to use the Love is Love deck. It's a Pride deck that has a different card from different LGBTQ artists. And I'm going to pull 3 cards now for this week for everybody. This is for the collective. This is for everyone. And what I want to first speak to is the Six of Pentacles. And has to do with the past. Okay. So this has to do with community from the past and who they are and um, who's who's in the past and everything that has to do with the past. Okay. So this is about this is about the past. Okay. This is about community and resources and things that you've tapped into maybe in the past that have been in support for you. Okay. And that's really important because this week going forward, this could put you in the Hermit card, which is very much about being alone, which is very much about going out on your own. This is very much about tapping into what's important to you in regards to that, and how many, and sort of that energy where you take time to contemplate and really think things through, because that's super important. Now remember, this week going forward, by the end of the week and ongoing, this could lead to some judgment. Now sometimes judgment is good and necessary because it helps us to understand, this is what helps us make good and bad decisions. You have to be able to have judgment, discernment, okay, to be able to discern as to what's good for you or what's not. And I think that that's a form of judgment, okay? But this judgment card also has a lot to do with spirit, with the higher energies of the world, with your spirit guides, and with just generally knowing. This would be generally knowing like what the high energy is. Okay. And this is a really important energy. It really sort of lifts up the energy. It's higher vibrating. This is a really important card. So this is the judgment card. Okay. And so like I said in the beginning, this is about the pentacles and about community and how you've been supported in the past and what kind of resources you've used. And then this here is about um, this is very much about the time taken alone and to be with yourself and to be alone. This is a very important card. And then on top of that, this is the future energy. This is very much about judgment. This is about choices that could be made by the end of the week, or judgments that could be made in regards to maybe whatever you did contemplate, you know, to yourself. And, Aquarius has a lot to do with thinking. And Aquarius kind of makes me think of, even though it's about we the people, it's also has a hermit side, a part of it that goes out on its own and is independent and does a lot of sort of personal thinking. So I also want to just include that here, and thinking about all the Aquarius energy that we're in right now. And so if you find yourself contemplating or thinking things through, I'm pretty sure that's speaking to this hermit card. And even maybe you're thinking about the communities that you're part of. And this is about that. And then this is about a judgment, maybe on yourself or others, and especially a higher thinking type of thing here. And this is meant to remind you of your own judgment, and also the necessary of to be discerning about things. Okay.
Wow, I'm always so fascinated how the tarot reflects the astrology, and I'm somehow not surprised one bit that the third card is judgment. It just doesn't surprise me at all. It just seems like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Right. Well, I'm glad. And I want to say that I appreciate all of you for tuning in, and I want to wish you the best this week. And just remember, any communities or anything else that you might be reaching out to, just know that there is some place for you and you're right on time. And that's maybe why you're connecting with them, or maybe you're disconnecting from some or moving on to different ones. And I think all of that is important in this time.
Well, thanks so much for listening to Rainbow Soulstrology. We appreciate you, appreciate the likes, and share it. There's other
people in your world that
Sorry. Thanks for listening to Rainbow Soulstrology. We appreciate you hitting any likes, sharing it on your page. Maybe there's other people in your world who are also having an intense time and would really like to know, oh, yeah, we're all in this together. So have a great week. Thanks for listening to Rainbow Soulstrology, where we try to be a bridge between you and the stars. Many thanks. Have a great week. Lots of love, y'all. Thanks so much for spending time with us this week. We hope you're feeling more connected to the cosmic energies and ready to work with them in your daily life. If you enjoyed today's show, please hit the subscribe button. It really helps us reach more people who could use some cosmic guidance. And don't forget to share this episode with anyone who might need to hear it. We love hearing from you, so drop a comment, let us know what resonated most or what you would like covered next week. Your questions and feedback make our show better. Want to join us live? Subscribe! And catch us on Facebook and YouTube, where you can ask questions in real time and be part of our cosmic community as it happens. Until next week, trust your intuition, follow your inner wisdom, and remember, the stars are always supporting your journey. Thanks for listening to Rainbow Soulstrology, where we try to be a bridge between you and the stars.